Hello, I'm Regina McCann-Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management, and welcome to our Women in Wealth series. Today we have a new friend with us. And Tracy, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and what you love about what you do?
Of course I can. I'm Tracy Coenen and I'm a forensic accountant. And that means that I find money. I do fraud investigations. A lot of my work is for corporate clients who have executives who are stealing money or engaged in other shenanigans with the finances. But some of my work is in the divorce space, and that is helping people going through divorce who have concerns about their money. So I'm doing fraud investigations for them as well. I'm tracing money, trying to find out how much they have, what did they have before, where did it go, what have they been spending money on, and all those sorts of things. And I've been doing forensic accounting for more than 25 years. So I've worked on a lot of divorces. But here's the thing: forensic accountants are expensive. And probably 90% of people going through divorce can't afford one, probably don't need one because it's not that complicated. I work on the more complicated stuff. I created the divorce money guide to help people who weren't going to hire a forensic accountant still have the opportunity to dig into their money. And if they think their spouse might be hiding money, the divorce money guide is going to help show them where to find it.
Very cool. Very cool. And how would people find the divorce money guide?
They're going to find it by going to my website, fraudcoach.com, because I am your fraud coach during your divorce.
Very
And
good.
yes, so they're going to find, the divorce money guide and other resources that we have available. I work primarily with women. And, I like to say that when husbands are hiding money, they're not all that clever about it. And they're not all that original. They don't take a lot of steps to cover their tracks. And the reason they don't is because many times their spouse isn't watching the money. Usually,
Mm.
one spouse has primary responsibility for paying the bills and watching the money. They know the other person isn't looking. So they're not thinking real hard about how to cover their tracks when they're hiding the money.
That's good. That makes your job a little bit easier.
It does. It
Yeah,
does.
that's great. That is good. And I thankfully haven't had too many cases where that was involved. But I do remember one case where the husband was moving money, and it was easy. I mean, we didn't even have to get into fraud. We figured out where he was throwing the money from, and it was just like, oh, come on, dude. But
Well, that's
it made our job
exactly
easy.
it. What happens many times is the husband might open a bank account, either at the bank that you are at or at a different bank altogether. And he'll put that account in his name only. He won't tell you he opened it, but he'll often do a transfer from your joint checking account to that new account. And that's how we find it. It's really just a matter of looking at your bank statements very carefully. And you can find there that there was a transfer, and that leads us to being able to unravel it all. Like you said, without having any special skills, we're still able
Hmm.
to figure it out.
Yeah, follow the paper trail. Paper trail
Mm-hmm,
will lead you right there. Wow,
mm-hmm.
that's cool. So, what do you love about what you do? Because you are very passionate about it, and I'm feeling the passion. So, tell me what you love about what you do.
Well, my first goal is to help people. And I know that that sounds like, the expected answer. Oh, I love helping people, but it really is true. I love helping women who feel disempowered in the process of divorce. I like helping them figure out how to understand their money, how to get some control back over that, how to not feel like a victim in this. You know what? You might feel ashamed because you weren't watching the money. I wish you wouldn't feel ashamed because it's so common. There are
Yeah.
millions of women in the same boat as you. You trusted your husband. There is no shame in that.
Nope.
But what we need to do is take steps to figure out what's been going on. We need to take action. And so I love being able to help and showing them, what is the financial part of the divorce all about? What financial documents do you need? How do you get them? And what can you look for in them? So that's what I like first and foremost about what I do. And second, I am lucky that I found something that I really enjoy doing. It's like great brain work to dig through the numbers. It's interesting. I'm investigating, I'm kind of snooping in a legal way into someone's finances. And then finding, that smoking gun, finding the aha at the end of it is really gratifying for me.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. It's
Hmm.
like for me when I'm helping people, because I do the asset division, I help people with the asset division in a divorce. For me, it's like taking the jigsaw apart and then creating two separate jigsaw puzzles. And like that's the satisfying for me. That's kind of how I say it in my head that I do.
I
So
love it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Now you also mentioned that you have a podcast. Tell us about your podcast.
I have a podcast called Find Me the Money, and it's sort of the companion to my new book, Find Me the Money.
Nice.
And the whole idea is to get more resources in the hands of people who need them. So I created that divorce money guide for people who weren't in a position to hire a forensic accountant. But I recognize some people aren't even in a position to purchase the divorce money guide. So what else could I offer them? I can offer them a book that costs anywhere from 10 to 15 bucks, depending on what format you get it in. So you're going to get some of the concepts from the divorce money guide. You're going to get some of the worksheets and tools that we use in the divorce money guide, but it's going to be a much lower cost. And then the podcast is the free option for someone who isn't even in a position to buy the book, where they could go listen to, the last 20 episodes of the podcast and get a lot of the same information that they would find in the book or the divorce money guide.
Nice, nice, nice. And are you on all the regular channels for the podcast?
Of course,
Yeah.
wherever
Okay.
you listen to your podcasts.
All right. Good, good, good. I will definitely listen to it for sure, for sure. So tell us about some of the challenges that you have faced as a professional woman in your career.
Oh, it, that's a great question because I don't focus a lot on what the challenges have been. I focus on what the successes have been. If
Mm,
anything, I think my biggest challenge has been time management because I work so much and I have so many things I want to accomplish and I want to take on all of it. So
yeah.
saying no, restricting the amount of hours that I work has always been a challenge for me.
Yeah, for sure. Well, tell us about some of the successes then.
Oh gosh, my forensic accounting practice is pretty unusual in that I've been a solo for almost 24 years now. And typically people don't stay solo much longer than a couple of years. But I figured out a way to leverage technology to do more work, to do the work of staff people. And so I've stayed solo for a long time and built a really financially thriving practice there and exceeding what I would say a lot of my peers are able to do with a solo practice. So that has been certainly financially rewarding, but also gratifying just from a standpoint of I'm kind of competitive and I want to do well at things. So that is surely one of my big successes, but I consider the divorce money guide itself a success because I have a goal with it to help 1,000 women a year have better financial outcomes in their divorces. And you probably know there's about 700,000 divorces filed every year in the United
Mhm.
States. So helping 1,000 women a year is really a very, very small goal, but it's where we're starting. And I just think about the impact on those 1,000 women of knowing more about their money. And maybe they'll find hidden money. Maybe they'll find that nothing is wrong, everything is accounted for. Great. Then they can have the peace of mind to go into that financial settlement in their divorce and know that they looked. Because I can't tell you how many times I talk to women who say, I signed that settlement agreement and he hadn't fully disclosed all of his statements that he was
Ooh.
supposed to. And I didn't really look at all the things. And I probably should have paid more attention to that because I just don't know if there was anything else out there. But I signed the settlement and now it's too late. I don't want
Oh,
women to be in that position.
yeah, I hear you on that. I when I do presentations on divorce, that's one of the things that I really focus on. Know what you are signing before you sign it. Know what the asset division is and what it's supposed to be before you sign on the dotted line, especially understanding how it's going to impact you after the divorce, because you can't go
Yes.
back unless there's fraud. It's a done deal.
Well, let me tell you, one of the things that really bothers me is when attorneys push their clients to sign a settlement agreement saying, well, we don't like this, we don't like that, but you can go ask for a modification later. You can go have it reopened. That's the worst strategy ever. Don't do that.
No.
Here's
No,
the other
no.
thing that I see so often is husbands pushing for you to sign and pushing for you to sign and trying to bully you into signing before they've disclosed everything or before you understand certain things, etc. And one piece of advice I have is regarding language surrounding that. And it's saying something like this: I'm happy to make a swift decision about settlement once I have all the facts,
Good.
right? Because they said, we want to wrap this up. We want to wrap this up. Great. Give me the information. We can wrap this up once I have the information, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very blessed that I have worked with attorneys and mediators who will push back on that other spouse, usually the guy, sadly.
Good.
Um, will push back on them and say we need the documentation before we can go further. And with my attorneys, that I'll work as an advocate, and when I'm working with an attorney, I'm working as an advocate usually for the woman, and we coach the woman to push back a little bit and say, well, I can't make a decision until I have the information in front of me. And
Awesome.
and then, the other thing that it's just like a pet peeve for me is that I don't like when one of the parties just gives an account value. It's fine if it's a bank account, but if it's an investment account, a retirement account, anything like that, I'm like, oh no, 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 no. We want a statement.
Right.
Because a statement tells a story. And that's where, if you don't have the statements and everything else, you have the potential for not having all the information before you make your decision.
Well, what about when there's one missing statements? They've given us 11 statements for the last year, and somewhere in the middle of all of it, one's missing. Well, it's only one missing statement. You have all the rest. You don't need it. Hold the phone, stop everything. We need every single statement because there
Yeah.
is a reason why they don't want you to see that one statement.
Right, right. And I especially love December statements because they show all the inflow and outflow for the whole year. It's like, okay,
Yes.
well, if we're gonna find anything, we're gonna find it here. So yeah, great advice, great advice. Love it, love it. Okay, so you are obviously a very busy lady. You're, working on your book's out, you're working on the podcast, you're running your practice. Oh my gosh, is there anything else that you do that you fit? Can you fit anything else in your day? My goodness.
You know,
Oh,
the hobbies and the personal interests have really fallen by the wayside since I started the Divorce Money Guide venture, but it's
mhm.
something that I was so committed to and really personally invested in making a success. Not because I've been divorced, because I haven't. Not because I hate men, which is something I'm accused of on social media all the time. No, helping women doesn't mean that I hate men. It just means that I see a need in the marketplace and I see a group of people that I really connect with.
Right.
So when I came up with the idea, I knew it was going to be a lot of work, but I made a commitment to it because I felt it was so important. So I will get back to more of my personal interests as time goes on. My one guilty pleasure is watching trashy reality TV. That's usually how I unwind at night because it's mindless for me.
Yeah. Yeah. We all need something mindless,
Mm-hmm.
just to separate everything for sure. So, thinking about when you've accomplished all your goals down the line, do you have a vision of your retirement? What it looks like?
Well, I have been referring to the Divorce Money Guide as my retirement business. So when I
Okay.
am ready to start transitioning out of consulting work, the Divorce Money Guide is a business that will be less dependent on appointments and where I am and being in court hearings and all these kinds of things. And so it's a business that will still use my talents and my knowledge, but not in not as in a time intensive way, the way the consulting work does. So right now, I have a lot of meetings with clients and their attorneys, court dates, deadlines for reports to court and things like that, all sorts of documents to go through. I won't have those kind of obligations as I'm working more with the Divorce Money Guide. So that's kind of where I see that going.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, I just want to go back 1 second to when you're working with women going through a divorce to uncover assets. How do they find you? How do they find out about what you do and how you do it?
Their attorneys are usually finding me and they're usually doing
Okay.
Google searches, believe it or not.
Okay.
Either
All
Google
right.
searches or referrals from another attorney who has worked with me.
Perfect. Perfect. That's all referrals always go a good way to go.
Yes.
For sure. Well, I don't know. This has been fabulous. I'm very excited to, follow you. I'm going to start listening to your podcast, and we're actually going to run into each other at a conference in October, so that should be fun to meet you in person. It's always a fun thing. So, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I know it was a lot of information in a very little bit of time, but hopefully we've got some nuggets that people can walk away with and put to work in their divorces.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thanks everyone else for joining us. Again, I'm Regina McCann Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management. Our website is forgewealth.com, and we're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, of course. Please follow us. And I guess our action item today would be if you are in a situation where you are worried about, when you go through a divorce, if there's missing items, start collecting those statements for the past 12 months. Those are great pieces of information to have because, like we said, a statement tells a story. So you want to make sure you collect that information as you go along. Thanks and have a great day.